Elba Colón coming to you live from Columbus, Ohio. This is Gratitude Friday with special guest Ricky Mendez. Let's give everyone a minute here while we get Ricky come on board. Also, I want to show y'all what I got. The Power of Gratitude book. We'll leave it right here, okay? All right, Ricky's watching. Diana, welcome aboard from California, LA. Titi Nilda from Puerto Rico is online. On board. Start liking and sharing this. Ricky is coming. Just give him a second here. It's coming from Cali. Your eyes. How's everybody's Friday? Looks like we're connecting.
Hi.
Hey. Just getting a couple folks to come online, Ricky. Just a second.
Cool.
Okay?
I like your music.
It's a good thing I put the ringer on off because my mother is calling me right now.
Oh, really? Nice. Where from?
Oh, you gotta love mom, right?
Yeah. Where? Can you hear me okay?
Not really. I think it's me.
Okay.
Okay, one moment.
Okay.
It's me. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you perfect.
Gosh, I can't hardly hear you though. Is your volume up?
Yeah, it's up all the way.
I got a feeling it's me.
Yeah,
One moment here. Hello?
Yep, I can hear you.
That's better. Okay, cool. Thank you, everybody. Hey, Christine. Thank you for being patient. This is Elba Colón coming to you from Columbus, Ohio. Welcome to Gratitude Friday. Special guest with Ricky Mendez. I am a transformational mindset coach, facilitator, and podcaster. The whole purpose of the show is to bring awareness, value, and respect to gratitude. And so people like Ricky, whose lives is a reflection of gratitude, is who I bring on board to spread the message of gratitude and why I love what Ricky said when I interviewed him the other day, when he said that gratitude is the core of everything. And I can't not agree anymore how true that is. So going back to Ricky, Ricky is now get this is interesting because I never heard this before. He is an implementational speaker.
Nice.
Yes, I did that good coming from a Puerto Rican. Nice. And consultant and business sales trainer. So welcome aboard, Ricky. I appreciate you so much, all the way from LA. I know you're very busy. And so go ahead, please tell us a little bit more about you, and then we'll get on with the interview, okay?
Okay, thank you. Well, number one, I love Gratitude Friday, and it really resonated with me. And to be able to bring awareness to that, something like this is incredible. So thank you for having me. And yeah, so motivational speaking is kind of the arena. It's kind of the space, but one of my biggest mentors said success isn't a knowledge problem. People know what to do. It's an implementation problem. We just don't take the consistent action. So kind of my way of honoring him was to rebrand it in a bit. And now I'm an implementational speaker. So I develop and kind of teach ways, tactical like kind of ways to implement to take consistent action. Because I've been to a ton of seminars, and I will look to my left and my right, and I'll see people taking like feverish notes. And then a lot of those times at those conferences, they're not cheap. You know, people pay a lot of money to go, and then the notes are left there and they leave the conference. So I know that there was no change in behavior. So motivation and inspiration are great, but they're kind of like willpower. They're gonna die off at some point. It's an exhaustible resource, kind of. So I like to think of implementation tactics that develop prosperity habits, because I know if people implement something today, for example, I think we can give everybody today to do something, and then they implement it today, there's a better chance they implement it tomorrow and the day after and the day after and the day after. Next thing you know, you look up and you have a habit created. And I think that's kind of how you change the human experience in general.
I like that. When you had said that to me the other day in regards about conferences and people leave the notes behind, I've been to, oh my goodness, in 10 years, I think I spent like $100,000. And I know this because I have tax papers to prove it, how, to prove this point that I'm going to make, that I've been to many, many business conferences where there could be 10 to 15,000 people in a conference. And those notes have, they're golden, like gold. And to say they leave them behind, it's really a sad thing, because it's like if they really took on what they have written down, I can only imagine what their lives would look like. So,
yeah.
and with that being said, because a lot of people ask me this question, what do you think it is in the gap for people to be motivated, right? Let me see my hand. Be motivated here, okay? And then from here to take the action. What is in the gap in between the two that's stopping them?
I mean, in my opinion, it's implementation, right? We need to implement from point A to point B, but how do we do that consistently? Again, one of my mentors, what they taught me is we really got to think about what we're going to think about. And I think for me personally, that starts at the beginning of the day. Before I pick up my phone, before I write an email, before I send a text message, I spend some time, whether you want to call it meditation, visualization, prayer, whatever label that you want to give it. I like to think that I set the filter for my day because I have a whole kind of process. And that's what my mentors taught me. They did it. They said it worked. I don't have to reinvent the wheel. I'm just going to do what they did to have success. And it worked for me. So now that's kind of what I teach and I train. But to get from point A to point B, I think if we think about what we're going to think about, it sets us up to have the right mindset to take the right action. People, they focus on action, action, action all the time because it's tangible. I can see that. And I need a certain action to get a certain result. But what really fuels that action is what I think about and how I feel. If I feel great, there's a better chance I'm going to take that action to where I want to go, regardless of what that end goal is. If I don't feel great, probably not going to take that action. So if we can start to set our mindset and think about what we need to think about in order to feel great, then it sets us up for a better probability of success, I think.
And let me ask you this question. How do you think someone will get to think and to feel what they're thinking? What do you think is the bottom line to that?
Great question. I mean, I think people need to start thinking about, I used to ask people, what do you want? And then another mentor of mine, I have never met him, but I've read his books, is Wayne Dyer. He passed a little while ago, but he talks about intention and creation. So now I ask people, what do you intend to create? I think that's a much better way to phrase it than wanting, because you're always in a state of wanting if I ask that. So now I ask, what is it that you intend to create? What is it you want your legacy to be? What are your ideas of contribution, whether it be your family, whether it be your kids, your parents, your brother, your sister, your coworkers, whatever it is, what do you want that contribution to be? And I think those are questions that aren't self-asked a whole lot. I think if we start asking those types of questions, and most importantly, take a pen and write it down. A lot of people tell me, yeah, I have my goals. I call it prosperity planning, not necessarily goal setting. But I ask people, do you have your goals or do you have your prosperity plan? They said, yeah, I got it in here. And when I start working with them one-on-one, I'm here to be a little bit in their face and being like, you know what, BS, you don't, that's one form of having your prosperity plan is in here. But take this and translate it, put it on a piece of paper and start looking at it every single day. And I think that really starts to change. I mean, it changed me from a biochemistry standpoint, from a neurological standpoint, where now I'm set up to take the action that I want to take to get me to my goals or prosperity plan every single day. It's not a 2-day a week thing. It's not a 3-day a week thing. It's a literally every single day. And the first thing that I do every morning is review my prosperity plan.
You know what? Can you hear me? Because someone just called in and my volume went down. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear. I can hear you fine.
Okay, I barely can hear you, and I know it's my end because someone just called and I have my phone on ringer. Maybe I need to start something else, but I heard what you said. So as a coach, I ask people too, like the first thing I ask on the first session is what is it you want? And Diana just asked me here if Ricky can be closer to the computer or phone, that might help.
Yeah, let me see. My volume's all the way up.
So
I'll try that. It's really close.
I am so sorry this is happening, guys. This usually don't happen. You're my third. You know what? I'm grateful for this because that means something good is going to come out of this. I don't know what it is, but you know, I know is tenacity and perseverance has a lot to do with that.
Yep.
So I'll try my best.
I'll try to speak up to your.
Okay, good, good. Oh, you know what? Someone said if you had a headset. Diana said.
I can. Let me see. I'll be right back.
Okay. Alrighty, guys. Thank you for being patient. I hardly can hear Ricky, so he's going to get some headset here. But go ahead. Thank you, Diana, for your feedback. I'm enjoying hearing what he has to say. Yes, I am too, Diana, because he actually travels, go to offices, corporate offices to train folks on what he's talking about. So to have him here is very valuable.
All right, hold on one sec. How is that? Can you hear me?
No, it's really me, but I'm going to go ahead and put my headset. Someone suggested I do mine, so I will do that. And the only way this phone will work is Bluetooth. Okay, hello?
I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. I can hear you too now. Okay, just little technical issues there. Thank you, Diana. Everyone can hear you better is what I'm getting feedback here.
Okay,
So
great.
go ahead, gang, start liking this and start sharing because more people around the world get to see why poor is everything. And here's the interesting question, what you just said here, Ricky. Yes, it starts out with vision. It starts out with what people want. But a lot of times as a coach, I ask many people at their first session, what is it that they want? And a lot of times really, people really don't know what they want. So, I mean, they just really don't know what they want. They know that they want something. So one of the ways I really believe to knowing what you want is be in gratitude for what we have already is a great way to start. Would you agree with that? And if so, why is that?
Yeah, 1,000%. Because I mean, we spoke about this before. I think gratitude is the absolute core of everything, absolutely
Mhm.
everything. And it's kind of that common thing is like, oh, when I get the house, when I get the car, when I get the relationship, I'll be happy and do that. But it's reverse. There's something to be grateful for right now, which will set you up to be able to be in gratitude for other things that you intend to create at a later date. But I think that's an unbelievable thing to ask is what do I intend to create? I think it's a question that people don't really ask because they wake up, they got a phone call, a text message, an email, they got to do this, and they're all, and then they're in the state of reaction the entire day. So I think when we kind of stop and pause and you have the first thing I do literally every single morning since January 6th of 2016 is I read my gratitude poem. It's literally the first thing that I do before I send an email, before I send a text message, before I read anything, before anything at all. I read my gratitude poem because it sets my filter for the day. And since I've done that, things fall into place. Finances fall into place. Professional things fall into place. Health and fitness falls into place. Relationships fall into place. All these different things, but it's because that's the priority, in my opinion, and why I've been able to create some of the things that I've been able to create. But it stems from that first thing I do every single morning is read my gratitude poem.
Yes, absolutely. And I like how you say it reflects on all areas, domains of our life. The woman who, Diana House, I interviewed her, and I remember in her interview, she says, you know, you either react or respond. And what you just affirmed what she said back in March is that you're not going to react, but you'll be able to respond. Now, like we all go through a lot of things, but gratitude, I like gratitude just gives a different perspective. So could you also be clear, tell us, like, I know what you're coming from when you say poor is everything. So what you said to me the other day, I never really heard it that way. So, and that is what you just said, is that it filters everything. And the reason I say that is because when I talk to people to gratitude, like everybody's okay. It's looked at like, okay, yeah, it is. I'm grateful, but there's no intention behind it. And so, and so when you say gratitude filters everything, could you can you explain that to the folks who's watching this?
Sure, sure. And just real quick, what was the name of the woman who said a reaction versus response?
Diana House.
Diana House. I love that. I love that. I love that because reaction is involuntary, response is voluntary. And for me, when you're in this state of gratitude, a grateful state, things slow down. We talk about, I played baseball and football and in high school and professional baseball, and we always hear the analogy of like how the game slows down for people, right? When you're in a state of gratitude and you manage that state consistently, the game slows down. You're able to see it at a slower pace, which means you're able to respond in a better way. So the game of life to me slows down, even though there's still 24 hours in a day, but things come at a slower pace where I'm able to deal with them more. And I think it's absolutely the core of everything because you're right. It's so often overlooked. People think it's so simple, right? Yeah, I'm grateful for this. I'm grateful for that. But it can't really change my life. And I mean, I'm here to say like, absolutely, it's the opposite. It absolutely will change your life. And if you do it on a consistent basis, not only will it change your life, it'll change the life of the ones you love. It'll change the ones that you care about, the ones that you work with, and even the ones that you don't have great relationships with. That's probably even the more important thing. So it's something that, I mean, stay with me here for like just 90 seconds. I want to go a little health and fitness with you, okay? So I've done a lot of studies on the pH levels of our blood and how that relates to vitality. So when our body's acidic versus when our body is alkaline. Our red blood cells, when it's acidic, when our body's acidic, we consume things that are acidic like alcohol or gluten or dairy or any of those things. The red blood cells get a negative charge on the end, and then it gets stripped when it's acidic. Now those red blood cells stick together. It can't move throughout our body, which carry the nutrients and the oxygen. So that's why we get tired. The number one place where we create acid in our system, the number one place is through emotions, stress.
Mm-hmm.
The number one times 100. So people try to change their diet all the time, and they think, oh man, I can't have alcohol. I can't have all these things that create acid. But stress and emotions are the number one place where we literally kill ourselves from a biochemical standpoint. So we're destroying our body from within, from the inside out, right? That's why we have stress. Not me. The American Cancer Society says 95% of all cancer related are not genetic. Not me. I'm not saying that. American Cancer Society is saying that. So when we have stress, we all know what that's like. It's awful. Our family life is going bad. Our work life is going bad. Something's up with the kids. And we create more stress and more stress and more stress, which creates more acid and more acid and more acid, which leads to all these horrific, degenerative diseases. My mind, I also know, cannot be grateful and fearful at the same time. So if I choose gratitude, I am literally creating a healthier biochemistry and a healthier state for me. And I have that choice to do every single day. I can choose gratitude and the things that I'm grateful for by setting my conditioning and reading my gratitude poem, or I can get up and react to everything, which creates more stress. We know how it is when we're running around like crazy with our heads cut off and all those things that we say. That is creating more and more and more stress. And there's a very simple way. It's an all natural antidote, and we don't have to swallow anything for it. We don't have to take anything for it. We don't have to take an antidepressant for it. We don't have to, there's no drugs involved or anything. All we have to do is think for it. And the people that do that on a consistent basis are healthier, not from a diet standpoint, but from a biochemical standpoint. That's why I think it's the core of everything. Because when I'm in that state of gratitude, I cannot be fearful. I can't walk to my left and to my right at the same time. It's impossible. I can't be grateful and fearful at the same time. So what do we choose? It's up to us. I don't have control if it rains or anything like that, but I have absolute control on what I think, therefore what I feel. And that's why I think it's the core of everything.
And so because you're in the space of gratitude in your thoughts and it affects our biochemistry, we're automatically going to feel good, right? Is that
absolutely? We can put ourselves in that state no matter what. And I don't care if it's an extreme thing where we're talking life and death. Napoleon Hill, I'm a huge fan of Napoleon Hill. And he calls it, the modern day thing is the silver lining, right? He called it a seed of equivalent benefit. No matter what the experience, no matter what's going on, there's a seed of equivalent benefit. It's just a matter of searching for it and finding it and asking the right questions. If something challenging happens to me and I ask, why did this happen? Why do I have to go through this? Those aren't very good questions. I'm not going to get a good answer. If I ask, what can I learn from this? How can I grow from this? Those are better questions. It shifts my entire perspective, just like gratitude does.
And I know what you're referring to because I forget about me. Tell them what you just talked about, like that story on the airplane with the little baby. That's a great example right there.
So here, I'll show you this. So this is my gratitude poem. I read every single day. This is the first page. This is the second page. Every single day, before I pick up the phone, before I write an email, a text message, I read this to make sure that I am in a state of gratitude. So the first page are things that I used to complain about. Okay, the second page are things that it's very easy to be grateful for. For the first one, one of my biggest pet peeves, and I mean like I hated this, was I would go on a red-eye flight from LA to New York or LA to Boston. My family was in Boston. And I can sleep on a plane, and I usually get an aisle seat. So I could sleep on a plane. I got a little thing around my neck, like the neck pillow, and they know how they put down the lights when the plane's on a red-eye flight. And I'm just about to go to sleep, and all of a sudden, a wailing, screaming baby goes off behind the seat behind me, like in my ear. I couldn't stand that. And I don't have children, so I don't mean to offend anybody, but I was like, somebody shut that baby up. Like I couldn't stand it because I was fearful that I wouldn't get sleep, and that stressed me out, and that created acid in my body. But when I learned kind of ultimate self-accountability, I realized the baby's not stressing me out. I'm stressing me out. So I switched it. And the first thing I have on my gratitude, well, it says attitude of gratitude. It says, I am grateful. I am grateful for the screaming baby on the plane because it means I can hear. And I started thinking about all the people that might not have the sense of hearing and how fortunate and lucky I am to be able to hear, and how many people would kill to hear that screaming baby on the plane. So I started to switch everything that I would complain about. I would switch it. There's a seed of equivalent benefit there somewhere. And this can be simple stuff, but it can be extended to extreme circumstances. Some of the simple stuff is like, I used to hate to do dishes. Now, one of my mentors taught me that when I do dishes, think of the things that I intend to create. So I'm grateful for the dirty dishes because it means I have enough to eat. Something so simple that a lot of us probably take for granted that we have enough to eat, where a lot of people in the world, they don't. Now, these things are so simple, but when they're done on a consistent basis, I have this kind of filter that I look in my life that's completely full of gratitude. So the things and the challenges that come my way, I can deal with them in a much healthier way. And then
I love how you use that as a filter, because when I think of filter, I think of coffee filter, right? You got this coffee, and then right out of it comes the liquid coffee right through the seed. So like, what kind of stuff it filters out? Like, what is it filtering? Can you tell me?
Yeah, I look at it as my life filter. I look at it as my life filter. For example, I'm meticulous for preparation. As you know, I was asking Elba a lot about the Facebook and the live and things like that. So I'm meticulous for preparation, right? When I have an event, I study the night before. I want to make sure that I do the things that I need to do at a certain time to get my point across so people will implement. So I'm meticulous for preparation. I've had a couple, like 3 or 4 times this year, I've gone from Tucson to Phoenix to Miami to Louisiana to Boston to New York, all for different talks at different corporations. So and each one is different, and each vertical is different. It's from real estate to tech companies to business, just to sales. So everything's a little bit different, which needs a little bit different avenue. So I'm prepping for this trip, and within an 8-hour period, my car got broken into. I got rear-ended, and for whatever reason, my condo got reassessed on the taxes. So, and I bought my condo in 04, and it's 2018. This is in Los Angeles, Southern California. So it is reassessed. That means I owe like $20,000 on the taxes for no reason. And then if I show them that it shouldn't be reassessed, I get reimbursed in like 9 months. So these 3 things happen as I'm trying to prepare. 4 or 5 years ago, it would have driven me absolutely insane, but it was so fast. I'm grateful that I have a home. I'm grateful that I have a car. I'm grateful that I have insurance. And none of it bothered me at all, whereas 3 or 4 years ago would have stressed me out like crazy. So it filters kind of my life. If something challenging comes in, it happens so fast because thought vibrates the fastest. So anything that challenging that comes in, I automatically can see the positive side of it or the seed of equivalent benefit almost immediately. That means I'm not going to say I have no stress. I'm going to have, I say have very, very minimized stress. And I know that makes me healthier from a biochemical standpoint, from my organs, from my tissues, from my cells. So that allows me to have a healthier life in every aspect of it.
You know, it's so funny because you told me this story already, and you know how sometimes it takes up to 7 times before something landed? And it landed this time, what you're telling me about all that happened, because I can see what you're saying, that gratitude is a filter, and what that does is just all the crap that's up here, and gratitude is the filter. It's just okay, what is the benefit that's coming out of here? And that's what you see. So I love that. I love that beautiful description. So thank you for being patient with me to share that story again.
No worries. Thank you.
Ask you the next question here, and I'm going to write it down because I'll forget. But before I tell you, this next thing is a couple of people are asking me, I don't know if you can see in your end,
I can't.
they want to know if they can see your gratitude poem, or where can they get the gratitude poem, but people are interested in your gratitude
cool.
poem.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Like I'll send it to you. We can post it wherever. But it is the start of my prosperity plan. So this is the first thing that I go over. And then I read a self-confidence formula from Napoleon Hill. And then I go over my prosperity plan, which I wrote a personal constitution, kind of what I want my life to look like. And then I go through money, and then health, and then relationships and contribution goals. And then I read some affirmations and then some quotes. So I have this 25-minute, 30-minute thing that I do every morning, but this is the absolute start of it. So I guess I'll hold this up, but I'll send it to you. You can post it, whatever. It's ironic. I'll give like a half-a-day seminar or a 3-hour seminar. This is the #1 thing I get asked about. In like sales, I teach sales for 3 hours. And I mention this because this is the core of everything, even sales.
Right.
You think of salespeople, they get told no all the time. They have to be in a state of gratitude, or else it'll destroy them. So it can be applied to everything. So #1 thing I get asked about, I'll read a couple, but I'm grateful for all the adversity that comes along because it means I'm on the road to success. I'm grateful for my age because it means I'm gaining more wisdom, understanding, self-control, and life experiences. I am grateful for the huge mess to clean up after a party because it means I've been surrounded by friends. I am grateful for all the complaining I hear about our government because it means we have freedom of speech. I am grateful for being fired from the company that I helped build because it means tremendous opportunity lies ahead. That was an extremely challenging time I had 4 years ago. And then the second side is very stuff that's very easy to be grateful for. First one's I'm grateful for my mom, my dad, and Ceci, that's my sister, because they show me a great way to live and to love. I am grateful for all the opportunities I've created because they teach me how to grow and take risks. I'm grateful for all my mentors, the living in the past, as well as the ones I speak to and the ones I have not met, because they show me a world of possibility, contribution, and potential. So, and that's, 1/8 of them, but I read that every single day to start my day. So my day is I feel healthier, number one, but any challenges that come my day, I've set a filter for that life that allows me to respond and not react. And I feel awesome. I feel awesome because of that, but I'm intentionally putting myself in that state to be able to create the life that I want.
That's so beautiful. Anybody crying? Because this is so beautiful. More, please, if you're watching this, start liking and share. Share, share, share. More people get to hear the power of gratitude. Why is it the core of everything? And see why is it not just how powerful gratitude is, but how beautiful it is. It brings beauty into people's lives. Diane just mentioned here, she says she's inspired. She says, yeah, I'm
Thanks.
inspired. And my aunt, all the way from Puerto Rico, she says, good, I like it. Seen that. Send that to me, please. That's what she's saying.
Cool.
So I got a couple people are making comments here. So I'm glad you brought up about sales trainer, because that's one of the things I posted on your promo, that you're a sales trainer, and I tag a couple people on it because I know they sales, and I like what you said is that they'll be crushed, and this is not just for just salespeople. Like, life is an enrollment game. Like,
Mm-hmm.
we're always enrolling people into something. So I can see how this gratitude poem will play a vital role in sales. Like, can you give in a couple examples what a salesperson can say, especially when they get a no? What could they be grateful for that?
Yeah, when somebody gets a no, statistically in sales, the more no's we get, the closer we are to a yes. So I'm grateful for the no because it means I'm closer to the yes, And it's funny because I do these trainings all the time, and I always ask people, like, before you were in this job, who was in sales? And like maybe half the people raise their hand or whatever. But no matter what you do, we put on clothes at the beginning of the day, we put stuff in our hair, we put things on our body that are going to represent us the way we want to be represented. That's a sales transaction. Anybody who's ever asked for anything in their life, regardless of what it is, that's a sales transaction. So we're all in sales all the time. People have gone on an interview, you're selling yourself. We are all in sales all the time, and we're so afraid of failure, and we're so afraid to get told no. And I always use an analogy, but think of a little baby trying to walk. How many times does it get up, stumble, fall down, get up, stumble, fall down? But then as we get older, we get scared of that. Would you ever tell a baby, stop trying, don't try to walk? Of course not. But as we get older, it's something that we're so afraid of failure because it hurts, right? But if our state is in a gratitude state, it will hurt. Not saying it won't hurt at all, but I'm saying it will hurt less. And that gives us confidence. And we all know if we have more confidence, whether you're actually in sales or not, in terms of a profession, the more confidence that we have, the more likely it is that we're going to take the action that we want to take. So the more we know how it is, when we have confidence, man, we can move mountains. So this is just a way to set us up statistically to have more confidence.
That was good. Are you guys writing notes on this? When I do these interviews, I promise you, I watch these videos at least 10 times before I do the next interview. And I take notes over and over. So you guys, are you writing these notes down? Are you sharing this? Do not be selfish and watch this video and not share this. More people get to know that gratitude is the core of everything. And I like what you just said about sales, because that's what people are. That's why people are afraid to do a sales professional job, because they are afraid of that word no. But you had said earlier in the podcast is that when you can't have fear and gratitude all at the same time. We'll experience gratitude, but if we're already set up early in the morning, like what you said, then we're doing good already. We're already winning. So if we do get no, it's okay.
Right. It's a way, like I look at it because of my prosperity plan and the way I feel like I set my state of mind every day. I feel like I can accomplish more by 5 a.m. than most people do by 3, 4, 5 p.m. because it's something where you're right. I feel like I win the day. When I look, my vision board's behind me. I look at my vision board. I read my prosperity plan, my self-confidence foil, my gratitude poem. I walk out of my house and I'm like, I'm on cloud nine already. I'm not going to say it doesn't matter what happens, but whatever happens, I have this gratitude filter where it's just, if something great happens, it's like, oh man, it's like utopic. And if something challenging happens, I get to convert it very easily and from negative energy to positive energy.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
Thanks.
So I'm going to bring on to the next question here, or next comment. I'm not sure how it's going to come out, but I know that when we interviewed this, you said that you've been reading your poems since what day?
January 6, 2016.
2016. It's been 2 years, but you say you missed one day and you felt like crap. And I love what you said about what you're feeling. And I ask you, why did you feel that way? And it has to do with about being committed to yourself. A lot of people are committed to other things, but when it comes to themselves, they're not committed. And it saddens me as a coach because people are searching for coaches is because they're not committed to themselves. That's one of the reasons, is what I see, like losing weight. I don't know, but they need accountability to hold themselves accountable to themselves, to be committed to themselves. So tell us about that experience where the date you missed, because remember, January 6, 2016, you started the poem. You missed one day, so you'll tell us the date, how you felt, and what does that have to do about being committed to yourself?
Sure. So I actually started, this is part of my prosperity plan. So I put the date when I actually started. So this was July 1st, 2015. And one of my biggest mentors, Weldon Long, wrote a book called The Power of Consistency. And any self-help book that you read, another one of my great mentors, his favorite word is gratitude, David Meltzer. Those two guys really helped me construct my prosperity plan. And Weldon Long talked about, it's got to be done every day. It's not a 3-day-a-week thing. It's not a 5-day, because he's talking about literally the neuroscience behind it and how to recreate neural pathways in your brain. So he's like, it's got to be done every day. Ever since then, every self-help book I've read, every self-development book I've read, they talk about every day, every single day, each day, to have the consistency behind it. So I started on July 1st, 2015. That's when I finished my personal constitution that I have here. And so I had every day. And then I was in Australia. And I was with a really good friend. I love to travel. And we were out late one night and we had some cocktails and I missed. So that was July 1st of 2015. And then I missed January 5th, 2016. So I went those 6, 7 months, whatever it is, from July 1st, 2015. I went every day. And then I missed January 5th, 2016. And I was pissed, man. I was upset because I said I was going to commit to myself. This meant a lot to me because I know if my mentors did it and it worked and they were to create this phenomenal life of contribution and health and prosperity and abundance, I know it will work for me. I just got to do the same thing. And so I committed to it. And then I missed that day. And I felt it. I could feel it. Like I missed that day. Like I didn't have the filter on my day. For whatever reason, I was like, the way to turn that now is not to miss again. And so I vowed that day, I will not miss again. And I haven't missed again since January 6th of 2016. And this is from traveling, whatever it is, I'll get up at 3 o'clock in the morning, whatever I need to do to get that in first, because I know how important it is to have that filter on my day. So that was kind of like committing to myself, was just like, how bad do I want it? In fact, I write that whenever I do coaching. I have people write how bad do they want it on a scale of 1 to 10, because people do a lot of, when I sit down with them, I'm like, well, I want to create this, I want to create this, I want to create this. But then the action's not there in 3-4 weeks because they don't implement consistently. And so I always ask them that, and it's an accountability thing. So when we do a class or something like that, and then there's no follow-up. I'm like, well, you lied to me. You said it was a 10. You know, you're saying it's a 10, but really what you're showing me is a 4. So I love that saying, what you do speaks so loudly, I cannot hear what you say. And that's how I felt. And that was like the commitment. I let myself down. And when I let myself down, I let my family down. I let my loved ones down. I let the ones that I coached down. I was like, that's not going to happen again. I just care too much about myself first, and then I can help others. It's kind of like what you said earlier. You know, people, they take care of the kids, they take care of their family, they do all these things, but then their individual prosperity, health, and fitness kind of takes a back seat. And we all know when we get on a plane about the oxygen masks, right? What do they tell you to do first? They tell you to put your mask on first, so then you can help other people. That's kind of how I look at this gratitude poem, prosperity plan. I can help other people to the nth degree if my filter is put on first. And that's why I don't want to let myself down or anybody else down. And the easiest way to do that is start with my gratitude poem every single day.
Ricky, that is so beautiful what you said. I know this is like the fourth time I said how beautiful, but it is the beauty, the beauty, the beauty, the beauty in it because what you said. So a little bit about me. So I'm an intuitive kind of person. And I am smart, you know, I show you my bookshelves, right? And when I get to work, I can figure things out. I'm a great analyzer. I can figure things out. No doubt about that. But that, in a personal level, that takes work. And so I like to rely on my tuition to guide me. I'm a promoter. I love to play. I just want to
Nice.
play, play, play. As old as I am, I just want to play all the time. So the reason I'm telling you that is because when people who people who are like doers and they get a lot of stuff done is that they have a high level of commitment level. So I try to understand what it means to be committed to myself. And I think what you just said, I don't think I know in my personal level, my interpretation is that when you said if I if I'm not committed to myself, then I'm failing my friends and family, the world, my vision, everyone. Because because if I can't take care of myself, how can I can take care of anybody else? And I had heard that before, but I like how you made the connection. It's
Mhm.
I'm not just failing me, I'm failing everyone else that I care about. And if
Mhm.
I really care about people other than me, you know, because we always want to put other people first, which is true, then we should take care of ourselves first. So I love what you
Absolutely.
said. And what that does for me as I'm talking out loud to you, it gave me a lot of conviction to reflect on my own life is how committed am I with my own personal vision. So
Mhm.
when I say conviction is that I'm not feeling guilt because guilt comes with shame and a bad feeling, but I feel conviction, meaning I want to owe where I am not as committed as I can be, own it, and be responsible for. So if any of
Mhm.
you all right now having any conviction about where your commitment level is to yourself, to your vision, then you know, just own it and be responsible and do whatever it takes to be there. And you heard what he said, taking care of yourself in the morning, especially starting it with gratitude to filter your day, is a great way to start and be consistent every day. So that's so beautiful.
Thank you.
Oh my gosh. I could talk to you. Do you know that we've been on Facebook Live for about 45 minutes?
Oh, wow. That doesn't feel
Can
like
you
it.
believe that? We might have to do a part two on this because
Would
if
love
I
to.
put stuff out, um, if you, matter of fact, let me ask you this: do you even have webinars? I got a feeling people will want to do a webinar with you.
Sure. No,
Do you
I
do
really haven't. I started my own business only about a year ago. I've been doing it for as part of a different company for a while. So, but I've really recently gone on my own only about a year ago. So I'm still relatively young in terms of the webinars and like the Facebook Lives and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
might want to consider doing a
Cool. I'd
webinar.
love to. I'd love to.
So, and I'll be first to promote it and
I,
promote this video and everything. So we're going to wrap this up. And the way that looks like is I ask these 3 questions. I ask everyone. And that is, so the way that looks like is I'll ask you the first 2, then we'll pause, and I'm going to explain to you why I'm going to ask you the 3rd one, okay?
okay.
And then you'll tell us anything you got going on, any conferences, speaking. You have a YouTube channel, so I recommend everyone to check it out. I've seen some of your YouTube videos. They're
Thank you.
super awesome, beautifully done. So and they're nice. They're not like real long videos, so they're really nice. And also to check your website if there's any corporate America companies here or anybody. Share this, tag this to anybody you know. More people get to connect with him and his brand, which is Ricky Mendez. You can find them in IG, because that's how we connected, which is IG, Instagram, Ricky Mendez Speaks. Diana House said here, Ricky, you are a contribution and a gift. I look
thanks.
forward to seeing your videos. So that's
thank you.
super awesome.
Appreciate it.
Thank you, Diana. Appreciate that feedback. So here's the question. What are you grateful for today? And I know you already know, but specifically why? Like something that happened today, yesterday, maybe a few days ago, whatever. But what really matters here is why are you specifically in gratitude for that blessing that you received?
Well, specifically this interview, because one of the things that I haven't done a lot of is kind of, I can be in a room of 1,000 people and be on stage, but seeing myself is uncomfortable for me. Like, so I practice, I want to practice being uncomfortable because, and it's a whole thing when I started my business, like self-promotion was never a really big thing for me because it's always been because I had a team. Now it's more until I build our team. So that the self-promotion aspect of it and kind of seeing myself and like taking videos of myself it's helping me become comfortable being uncomfortable. And I think it was, I know Les Brown says it all the time, is like, if you do what is comfortable, your life will be hard. And if you do what is hard, your life will be comfortable. So I'm grateful for this today because I'm seeing myself and it's making me better because it is uncomfortable to see myself. I think the split screen helps a little bit, but I'm specifically grateful for you and this interview today because it's practice for me being uncomfortable.
Wow.
And that helps.
That's amazing. You're welcome.
Thanks.
So here's the 3rd question. So before I ask you the 3rd question, I'm going to tell you why I'm going to ask this. So the 3rd question is, what does that say about you as your affirmation? So like, I am what? So why am I asking this? Because in my own personal journey of writing my gratitude journal, I discovered that it links to my affirmation. So just like you, I read, Napoleon Hill books. I read lots of books, personal self-help, personal self-development books. And one of the things I did was say to myself, I'm happy, I'm joy, I'm grateful. But it was, I was saying it in a space coming from fake it till you make it. And the reason I used to fake it till I make it is because I didn't believe in myself. And I never did. So in the gratitude journal, I asked myself one day, well, why am I getting these blessings? And it was like, well, of course, Elba, that's because you are joy, you are happy. And I'm like, yes, that is true. And so now that I write my gratitude journal, I always link it to my affirmation. No one can deny that affirmation. Not my ego, my biggest hater out there in the world, or nobody. Because my blessing is the proof of who I am. So with that being said, you said that you are grateful for the interview because you're being uncomfortable. You're getting comfortable in being uncomfortable. What does that say about who you are?
I think it means that I feel like I'm the eternal student. Like I think there's always something to learn. And the more that I learn, the more that I grow, and the more that I grow, the more I can share and contribute to somebody else who maybe they go along that path at a certain date in the future. So I I think that says to me, and like I still remember this. Gosh, this was freshman year high school basketball, and one of my coaches said at that time, he said, Ricky, you're uncoachable. He's like, every time I try to coach you, you get defensive, you get, upset, you get pouty. And I still remember him telling me that. And I was like, gosh, how can I grow and be awesome if I can't be coached? It was one of the best things somebody ever told me. So from that point on, and that was from collegiate baseball to professional baseball, I was like, I got to be coachable. I have to learn. I have to be able to grow. So I need to be able to take input, whether that's input that I want to hear or don't want to hear. And some of my mentors, even not too long ago, I spoke at a um, uh, real estate team, and one of the main leaders of the team in that brokerage came up to me after, and she didn't really like something that I had said. And she explained it to me, had a really good talk, but I was like, man, you're absolutely right. I was like, thank you for telling me that, because I mean, speaking openly, the overwhelming feedback that I always get is really, really positive, but which is great. I can grow from that too. But it's the stuff, I mean, my mentors have told me, like, it's the stuff that you necessarily don't want to hear where you're going to grow the most. So I was incredibly grateful for her to share that. And it made me better, you know? So I think that means I always look at myself as an eternal student. I can get a lot better. Thank you to the people who have shared the things that they like and the things that I think they think I can improve on.
And so your daily affirmation is I am eternal student. Is that what you're saying?
I would say so. I actually have my affirmations right in front of me. The first one is I am brilliant because I am an
But
inverse paranoid.
so so for this specific blessing, which is the interview,
Got it.
because you're being uncomfortable, you're getting comfortable in being uncomfortable. What's that say about who you are?
I'd
So what's
say
this interviewing saying about you? This blessing of opportunity that you receive, what's that say about you? That
I'm
caused me
grateful
to
to
be
be the
attracted
eternal
to you.
student. I'd say I'm grateful to be the eternal student.
Yes. Yes, you are. That's beautiful.
Thanks.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much,
Thank you.
Ricky. Do you have, will you, do you have, so that wraps it up right here, guys, but don't go away yet. Please tell us what is your next conference and talk or whatever. Tell us your website, your YouTube channel. Give it us all. I want you to shamelessly brag about you. Your time.
Okay, thanks. Well, Instagram is Ricky Mendez Speaks. YouTube is Ricky Mendez Speaks. My Facebook is Ricky Mendez. I have a business Facebook page that's also Ricky Mendez. My next probably biggest events are going to be with a couple different real estate companies. I might be at Compass Real Estate in Miami doing a big event for them, and just doing some local things over in LA. And we're really the real estate, if anybody knows anybody in real estate, we're putting on these events where it's kind of a win-win-win. So I collaborate with the brokerage, whatever that is, and basically I don't cost anything to come out. We'll do like a free training, and then if they like it, we do like a big event where we'll sell tickets, and we split the gate or whatever. But that's been something that's really duplicatable and scalable, and it's been really, really fun, where we have an all-day training where I can really dive in to like the implementation tactics of it. And we cater a lunch and a breakfast, and we can have like a networking thing and some alcohol at the end, where we invite real estate agents, aspiring agents, title people, finance people, all that kind of stuff. So that's something that I'm really excited about. Compass has been great to me. Keller Williams has been super awesome to me. But if anybody wants to inquire about having these events, it's kind of where I see some of my consulting going. So yeah, that's about it.
I want to be there.
That would be awesome.
Maybe Diana, who lives out in LA, can reach out to you.
Oh, she's in LA?
Yeah, she's in LA. I forgot where she says she's at, but you'll send us that poem. You'll send it to me. I'll put it on the show notes. And Ricky, thank you.
Right.
In Your Eyes. I love this song by Peter Gabriel.
Yes.
Gratitude is all over you, and I appreciate you so much. And I will be seeing you shortly. I got a feeling we will have a part 2 on this.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Right. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Oh, she says here, West Hollywood.
Oh, West Hollywood. Okay, I'm in Marina Del Rey.
Okay,
so we're close. We're pretty close.
Okay, wonderful.
Awesome.
All right.
Thanks, Elba.
Happy Friday. Right. Good and gratitude Friday to everyone. Please, everyone, like and share.
Thanks a lot.
Good thing. We're going to do a kiss to the world on 3, okay?
Okay.
We all do it. Ready?
Okay.
Ready? Get ready. 1, 2, 3.
Thanks, Elba.
Thank you. You're welcome. Bye-bye.